retail space, commercialization, those are short-term hits. Things like open space, green space, connectivity, building corridors, those have economic gains over the long term. And those also keep the character of Sonoma. So when we were doing these visioning exercises, I didn't see it in the summary statements, but I heard it a lot, is that Sonoma had a particular character, an ethos, that was incredibly important and unique attribute in this Bay Area that was important to keep. It was one of our assets that we didn't really want to muck around with and kept us distinct from other cities. So if that's actually true, that historic legacy that we have, we're one of only 11 state parks. The city is a state attribute, a legacy park. Our wild spaces are, our ability to connect to other cities. Then we have to be very careful about changing non-human elements and not understanding what it is that attracts people. So at the turn of the 19th century, we had a city beautiful movement. That's how we got the plaza, the civic plaza, that brings in tourists from all over the country, world. And so we have to be prescient about that. And that's what you guys can be. You can be prescient. Some of these designations are designations that exist now. But the designations that we want are the designations going forward, the way we have to think about climate forward trees. We need to think about what are the forward-thinking things. So corridor connections, that's forward-thinking. Tree-lined places that are safe access points to hospitals and schools, that's forward-thinking. Commercial space and offices. I don't know how many people still use offices anymore, quite frankly. Those things are emptying out in a lot of other cities. They're just not being used that much. So it's good to compare to what's happening with other cities to ensure that we're not thinking about things that happened yesterday, but instead thinking about things that are going to happen tomorrow. Okay, that's my comments.
Thank you. Anybody else speaking on general plan?
Hi there, my name is Maria Barakat. I'm a Sonoma resident. I appreciate the time and effort put into this study. I also just want to echo some of the comments by Fred that I also have concerns about in some of the data. But I want to highlight especially some of the absence of definitions and clear goals around equity, environmental justice, social equity. All of these things tend to be buzzwords in this type of study without a common understanding with direct policy implications for what those words mean, and especially when surveyed to the public. So part of my question is how do we determine that the surveyed public for the outreach portion was a representative sample of this town? Another comment I'd like to make is that on the website for the general plan, it says get involved. Come to the general plan study session, but there's very little room for us to get involved. There's not any way for us to have discussion or have question period, and we're running out of time, and there was always running out of time. This is a real concern. How long are the community engagement periods? How is there targeted outreach to make sure that there's a representation of the people in Sonoma that want to contribute to their city? So the people who have the most time on their hands and are the most accessible for these types of studies are usually older, whiter, and more wealthy people. So that's the data that we're looking at. This is not controversial. This is just basic statistics. So my big concern, as always, is where are we defining and ensuring and holding ourselves accountable for equity in this city? But like in a basic, real way, where are the people who work in these restaurants gonna live? Like in a year, in 5 years, because the prices are insane. I can't live here by myself. My mom can't live here by herself. I've got friends who live in their families' homes, on their families' properties. Where are the people that work in the wineries for the tourists to come here supposed to live? Where is our aging community that's not extraordinarily wealthy supposed to live? If we're not going to be increasing density, what are we doing? And it's a false choice to say that we can't increase density and maintain charm. But I assure you that I warn us to really avoid comments like neighborhood character and things of that nature that are actually racist dog whistles. And I am so hoping that there will be some changes. I have 6 seconds left. Hoping there'll be some changes to how we collect data and how we describe the data, and then how we make policy decisions that actually include the community.
This is pertaining to the general plan.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Tanya Marsh, almost 20 years here. And when we're talking about land use planning, I'm curious if there's any discussion with local tribal organizations to see what they feel will be best to support the people as well as the wildlife in this region. As we're in this time of climate crisis, as today's early June temperatures reflect, we need to be taking every opportunity to learn how to become better stewards of the lands that we're on. We should be looking to learn from the original stewards of the Wapo, the Miwok, and the Pomo tribes, how to tend to the lands of theirs that we are on. So we talk about market capacity and limited cities. The town doesn't need additional hotel lodging or hospitality facilities. We need affordable homes, and we need them purchased by home owners who live and work in the area, not second, third, or fourth home buyers. And if we need to generate more revenue, let's generate it from those people who already have their second, third, or fourth home here, not the first home buyers. And maybe the vineyards and the Airbnbs. And when we consider expanding and modernizing, improving office stock to accommodate remote Bay Area tech employees and lay the groundwork to attract larger users, that's really disappointing as a small business really struggling in this town. Every small business in this town is struggling beyond, I think, your understanding. And I feel like we could really invest into the talent of resources and humanity and people that we have in this town before reaching to invite in big tech for support. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other public comment, generally the consultant has an opportunity to respond or staff. But I saw you taking copious notes.
Yes, sir. Lots of notes, great feedback, and I just want to assure everybody we'll be coming back with policy documents, and this will be opportunities for the public to comment on the specifics, because right now we're in the information gathering stage, so the comments are all appreciated, and I took detailed notes.
All right. Thank you very much. With that, we will adjourn. Yes.
Sorry, Mayor, just one comment. So I know that a lot of, there were some additional comments probably that wanted to be shared by the planning commissioners and city council members. So I recommend that you do provide those to me. We'll provide them to the consultant and make them available to the public as well. So it's not just behind the closed door. So we will put them all out there. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. We will adjourn the Joint Planning Commission and City Council meeting, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to begin the regular council meeting. Calling to order the regular City Council meeting of June 5th, 2024. It is 6:18, and we will begin with this agenda. If you've got cell phones or any other noisy devices, please turn them off. If you can hear me in the lobby, you're going to have to be quiet, please. All right, meeting is called to order. Pledge of Allegiance, please. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There was no closed session, so there is no report. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wellander,
Here.
Councilmember Dean,
Here.
Councilmember Lowe. Here. Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Present.
Mayor Gurney.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Now we have approval of the agenda, and I would like to make a couple of recommendations with the council's approval. I'd like to move item number 6, which is presentations, to after item number 2, which is meeting dedications. And then I'd also like to move item 9.2 to after presentations. And then we will continue with item 3, council members' reports. Is there
So moved.
a second?
I'll second.
Yes. All right. Anyway, all right. Vote, please.
Councilmember Wellander,
Yes.
Councilmember Dean. Aye. Councilmember Lowe.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas,
Aye.
Mayor Gurney.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you. So then we will move to item number 6, presentations, which is buried on my desk.
Mayor, if I may, if you
Go.
could do item number 1 first, which is comments from the public on
Oh.
non-agenda matters.
Yes, okay, thank you. This is where we have public comments from the public on items that are not on the agenda.
Good evening, City Council members. Matt Metzler. I am here to talk about something a little bit lighter than the other items on the agenda, but I just wanted to share with you guys my appreciation for the new bike racks that we have on the plaza. You know, as a bicyclist, we've been bemoaning the lack of bicycle parking for years on the plaza, and we when I served for 5 years on the Community Services and Environment Commission, that was one of our many recommendations, and now here, many years later, it's nice to see they finally happen. I wanted to share with you guys what our experience, what we went through on the commission about building the bike racks, which is we made the recommendation, and Public Works came up with a design, and they presented it to the City Council. And however, at that time, the City Council rejected the design because the Public Works proposed building a large cement pad on which to mount the bike racks. And we got pushback from the public. I received communication from members of the public who were very interested in historic preservation of the plaza, who said not 1 square inch of the plaza should be paved, even for something like building a bike rack. So I wanted to express my appreciation for the council and for city staff and for Public Works on the great job they did with the design of the bike racks, which involves just a small rectangular cement pad just big enough for the bike racks, and then putting the decomposing granite around the rest of the area of the bike racks, which was one of the Public Works objections of having, because we said the bike racks could just be on gravel or wood chips, but Public Works expressed concern about the ability to clean and mow in that area. So this design that you have, where it's just a small amount of cement surrounded by the decomposing granite, is a great compromise. And I thought really appreciate the Public Works staff on the job they did on that in coming up with a solution that wouldn't involve paving as much of the plaza. So, and I also just really appreciate the city's work with the county on getting public input on the active transportation plan, and I just wanted to encourage you to do everything you can to make it easier to bicycle or walk around town than it is to drive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment on items not on the agenda?
Try to get this down here. Mine's not quite as light. Joseph Roseiker, Boys Hot Springs. Honesty, dishonesty, truth, lies. One sounds soft, the other harsh, but let me use the harsh one, truth versus lies. We all know that our community is now caught in a web of really large lies. No need for me to go into detail because we all know what those lies are and what the consequences will be for our community. Let's talk about the small lies. I was once told that anyone can come before the city council and pretty much say anything as long as it's not hateful. Truth or lies may be spoken, and there is no obligation on the part of the council to address whether it is a truth or a lie. But here is my ask today, going forward, that we start to look at these lies and how they hurt our entire community and its economy. Because an appearance of great wealth or promises of big developments dazzle us, when in fact they are simply an illusion and lies. So we cater to those selling these lies and ignore those who do not have wealth or promise big things. Maybe it's time for a change. I asked you to take a look at the vacant lot where the community cafe and wine bar once were on Napa Street. The owner of this property believed that a thriving and community-serving cannabis business was what he wanted at this location. At one point, he even let Homeless Action use this parcel. No RFP ever went out for a second dispensary. The building had a fire and is now demolished. Here is a property owner that wanted something that the community needs and would serve us all, and not lie to us about what they will provide and create jobs, taxes, and be of service to the community. I want to say that at 73, I have been watching our society for a long time. And since 1980, when the words trickle down were first uttered, nothing has trickled down but misery and poverty. And partnering with racists, white supremacists, and those that lie to us certainly has not improved our society or well-being. So let's give up these failed ideas and let's start looking beyond the appearance of what we think should be successful and look at the truth of what will both be successful and support a fair and thriving community. Thanks so much for listening today.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Esther. I'm a high school student in the county, and I would like to ask our City Council to adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism, in short, IHRA. The recent surge in anti-Semitism attacks, reflecting a 240% increase in California, is deeply troubling. Jewish organizations across the state, as well as the California Attorney General's office, have expressed serious concerns about the rising incidents. Here in Sonoma County, a Holocaust memorial fountain was vandalized twice in the past. Anti-Semitic pamphlets have been passed out, and Jewish students such as myself have been targets of anti-Semitism more and more. I have friends who have been called dirty Jews. I have been told that I control global money, and though this last summer I had the opportunity to visit Poland and see the places where my people were brutally murdered and oppressed, it worries me that anti-Semitism is on the rise worldwide, but especially in the county where I was born and raised. Sonoma has the opportunity to stand alongside the city of Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and thousands of other global cities and localities, 35 U.S. states, that have already adopted the IHRA definition, taking a decisive stance against anti-Semitism. Your advocacy on this matter is crucial in protecting our community and creating a safer environment for all residents in our area. I trust in your commitment to addressing these challenges. Thank you.
Hello. I would like to propose to the council members to adopt a council resolution policy document similar to the one the city of San Jose adopted back in July 1979 and has been following since then. Just to give you a historic perspective, it is worth mentioning that the resolution was adopted at the time of Islamic Revolution in Iran and other Middle East conflict. A lot of U.S. college students rallied at the time in support of the new movement, coalition of leftist liberals and Muslim clerics, that captivated the world. Many U.S. students were opposing U.S. alliance with Shah. Today, we all know that the Islamic Republic of Iran became a brutal, oppressive regime, a main supporter of terrorism in the Middle East. The policy adopted by San Jose City Council was the result of multiple requests for the City Council to take action on matters that lie outside the scope of jurisdiction. It reads, there have been better and more appropriate avenues of communication between citizens and other government entities. The City Council desires to restrict its own deliberations to problems which most immediately affect the government of the City of San Jose. The Council is compelled to adopt this policy for reasons of expediency, fiscal responsibility, and to improve the efficiency of the decisions produced by the Council. By directing the Council's attention to the most locally germane issues, it is the Council's intention to improve its responsiveness to the citizens of the city in terms of swiftness, accountability, sensitivity, and by having additional study time for local problems. Matters concerning the foreign policy of the United States of America, nor its relationship to other countries of the world, except at the express request of the elected official and federal government. On matters that do not meet the criteria for the consideration by the Council of the resolution outlined above, members of City Council, including the mayor, may individually or collectively issue a declaratory letter representing their position on the matter. I have a copy of the San Jose resolution policy document with me and would like to submit it for the council reference.
All right, you can hand it to our deputy clerk there. Thank you. All right, any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, I'm closing public comment. And now we're going to move to presentations. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we're going to go to meeting dedications.
Mayor Gurney, I will have the one delegation. I would like to delegate tonight's city council meeting to Val Robichaud. He passed away unexpectedly in the last February. I don't think it is too late for us to honor him. He built out in the local and the nonprofit organization, publishing the Valley Sun, and for free, serving out in the community for a couple of decades. And his loss is huge for our community. He's a spirit of independent voice for our community. We're still living here in the valley. And his legacy will be carried over forward to our next generation. Thank you, Mayor Gurney.
Thank you. And now we will move on to presentations. Item number 6. So item number 6.1 is a proclamation proclaiming June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth Day in the city of Sonoma. And I'm going to read part of this proclamation to you. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Juneteenth Independence Day, also known as Emancipation Day, Emancipation Celebration, and Freedom Day, is the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery in the United States and has been celebrated by the black community for over 150 years. On January 1, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued an Emancipation Proclamation declaring all enslaved people in the Confederate States to be free, and, however, it is not until June 19th, 1865, when the Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of the Civil War and the emancipation of enslaved African Americans, that freedom was realized by all. And whereas Juneteenth has coined and represents a significant milestone in American history, a day of liberation and a reminder of the ongoing struggle for civil rights and social justice. It is a time to reflect on the progress made and the challenges that remain in the pursuit of equality and freedom for all individuals. The celebration of Juneteenth is a testament to the strength, resilience, and enduring spirit of African Americans who have fought tirelessly against opposition and discrimination. It is an opportunity for all Americans to recognize and honor the contributions of African Americans to our nation's history, culture, and achievements. President Biden called upon the people of the United States to acknowledge and celebrate the end of the Civil War and the emancipation of black Americans, and commit together to eradicate systemic racism that undermines our founding ideals and collective prosperity. The city of Sonoma stands in solidarity with communities across the nation, recognizing Juneteenth as a day of reflection, education, and celebration of African American history and culture. We acknowledge the importance of this day in fostering understanding, reconciliation, and unity among all people. We encourage all residents of Sonoma to learn more about the significance of Juneteenth, to engage in meaningful conversations about race and history, and to participate in activities that promote diversity, inclusion, and justice, including the 54th annual MLK, Martin Luther King, and Juneteenth Festival that will be held in Santa Rosa on June 15th of 2024. Be it proclaimed that I, John Gurney, Mayor of the City of Sonoma, on behalf of the Sonoma City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth Day in the City of Sonoma. We call upon the community to observe this day and to join in the spirit of freedom and equality that Juneteenth embodies. And I believe we have a person to receive this proclamation.
I believe Celeste Winters will be accepting this proclamation.
Dania Candela, NAACP. Hi.
So it's nice to see you. Well, let me present this to you, and then we'll have you give some comments, okay? And we always like to do this as a Kodak moment, so
Okay.
turn around and we'll just...
Yes, please. And thank you for the mic. Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Dania Candela. I'm representing NAACP here today, and we have a few words to share with this as we move this forward. With this proclamation, Sonoma shows it is important to recognize the end of American slavery and that the city acknowledges the ongoing struggle for civil rights and social justice issues. As we know, 250 years of slavery was followed by the Jim Crow era, separate, unequal treatment of Black Americans, and then by modern forms of segregation, including overt and covert redlining. One consequence is that Black Americans were denied the ability to own homes in nice places like Sonoma, to build generational wealth, and participate in society as equal members. Slavery and institutionalized racism has a long echo that effects are seen in today's generational equity gaps and reduced health development index scores for Sonoma County's Black residents, lower than the state and national averages. An almost total lack of Black residents in Sonoma is not simply an accident. This is systemic racism, maintained by the current city zoning, land use, policy, and housing element, and general plan analysis that fosters continual racial segregation. Systemic racism calls all people of conscience to have an awakening. Such systemic racism is real, is a problem, and we need to fix and address it with actions rooted in equity. Let's ask ourselves, from whence comes the privilege of some and the oppression of others? We hope this desire of the city to honor equality and justice will be more than words, that this Juneteenth proclamation can show more expression during the year, especially with more focused attention and integration and being consistent with affirmatively furthering fair housing state law. In this proclamation, the city encourages all residents to participate in activities that promote diversity, inclusion, and justice. What better way than for the Planning Commission and Council to really zero in on FFH details, learn about systemic racism, and seek to meaningfully address it here. Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, NAACP would like to see tangible cooperation from the city to look at slavery and segregation as valid research topics, and for the city-supported historical societies to open up their archives and work with our branch and our Sonoma State University research team in the spirit of transparency and accountability. The current general plan and its existing conditions, demographic, and socioeconomic reports say that virtually nothing about segregation. While restrictive covenants are known to have kept non-white renters and homeowners out of city limits for generations. If this city cares to embrace and address the core values championed by this proclamation, a close reading of this general plan materials has to ask how clearly core city value of maintaining neighborhood character may actually be part of the local systemic racism problem. We feel the city needs to show a realization of the modern forms of apartheid, segregation, and exploitative labor, ones that we see in Sonoma Valley, are not consistent with the city's favorite civil rights and social justice. The City Juneteenth Proclamation expresses a desire to foster understanding, reconciliation, and unity among all people. We ask you to value this statement by addressing the concerns of underrepresented here in Sonoma Valley, and to put this value on an equal plane with preserving the character of Sonoma's relative well-off neighborhoods and populations. Thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Celeste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dania. So we're going to have an uncomfortable conversation here, because what is a declaration without action? It's performative, and that's what's happening here. The NAACP recently sent communication over the course of the last month about housing and safety impacts of a local Black family, and the desire for the dire lack of safety net for houseless children and houseless transitional age youth, and the impacts of SAY's sudden bankruptcy and overnight collapse, and the impacts directly on very specific youth with names and faces in this valley, to which we brought to your attention. Mayor Gurney and council members Ding and Lowe have not responded to the NAACP at all. There's been 2 emails. Councilmember Lowe did reply to my personal follow-up, which came in my role as the Area 2 trustee in Sonoma Valley Unified, but only with offense that I didn't name her specifically by name, for which I've apologized, and I've made a commitment moving forward to name her in my communications moving forward, per her request. This is incredibly relevant to this Juneteenth proclamation, in that today the City Council is making this proclamation, having invited the Santa Rosa Sonoma County NAACP branch to receive it, while simultaneously responding with indifference to the very real issue impacting Black families and community members. Juneteenth is Freedom Day. How free are we really if the NAACP can't even get a reply to an email about an incredibly serious situation impacting a Black family in this community? Please don't make this proclamation performative. Please do the work and take action. Please self-reflect. As you stated, it's a day of reflection and justice and meaningful conversation on the ways in which this council can do better for the Black community in Sonoma. We are asking you to do the work. We are asking you to have the uncomfortable conversation. We are asking you to repair the very real harm that has occurred and has been occurring for a very long time. I literally watch on Facebook white community members talk about those people who've come here to our, all caps, community. This has to stop, and I'm not seeing action from the council. So while we appreciate the proclamation, and we are very much looking forward to celebrating Juneteenth, we look forward to it every year. It's very important. But we need action. We need something to happen behind the proclamation, and we're asking you to do that work and to collaborate with the NAACP in doing that work, and we're asking you to reply to our emails.
All right, thank you. So we now have another presentation, and this is actually a presentation to Noah Malone, who is in the room. And this is a certificate from the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission for the 2024 Student Creative Artist Award. And it's presented to Noah Malone for outstanding artistic achievement and dedication to your craft, which I believe involves a violin. So, Noah, you're on.
Up as well, the commissioners that are here.
Are they here?
Yeah.
Ah!
Thank you, City Council and Mayor Gurney. The City of Sonoma Fine Arts Commission, Cultural and Fine Arts Commission is here, and you saw them up here. I'm the chair of the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission, Connie Schleline. Since 1998, the CFAC has given the Creative Student Artist of the Year award. And not many cities do that, actually. Acknowledge the exemplary achievement of the next generation of creatives. We're pretty proud of that. We selected, we had 9 students that were exceptional this year. We fell in love with each of them as they came up and spoke with us, as they presented their portfolios, as they submitted their artist statements and their dreams. But one simply stunned the commissioners as he spoke in his interview with such passion and commitment to his music, to also see his home video that he had sent of Telemann's Viola Concerto. Outstanding, blew us away. His thirst to learn more and improve his skills was astonishing. He pursues every opportunity that he has been able to find, including learning with the Vivo Youth Orchestra. He's now a teacher as well as a student at the Vivo Youth Orchestra. He takes classes and performs with the Santa Rosa Junior College Symphony, even though he has just finished his junior year at Sonoma Valley High School. So we're thrilled to present him and this award to him, and we are really excited to share what he does tonight.
Before I play just like a short piece by Bach, I wanted to thank everyone. It's been a really amazing experience and an honor. And I'm looking forward. This has sentimental value, but with the prize, I'll be able to finally get my own viola, so that's exciting. So thank you so much.
No, that's outstanding and inspiring all at the same time. Thank you very much. All right. That completes our presentations. We will now move to council members' reports and comments, item number 3.
Mayor, you had moved item 9.2.
Oh my gosh, okay, all right. Let's see, so confusing. So those of you who would like to leave now, that certainly okay. So we're moving to item 9.2. Which is a city council discussion and consideration of a ceasefire resolution. And this item is going to require some discipline. What we are going to do tonight, before we begin discussing the item, is any speakers for this item will need to fill out a speaker card located at the table outside the front door. And if you're refusing to fill it out, that's fine. Okay, well, they're out there with signage to fill it out so that we can go through everybody and make sure everybody gets to speak.
The mayor, it's at the mayor's discretion.
At the last second?
You have plenty of time to fill out the cards.
That's okay with the Brown Act, but at the last second, you just changes it.
The Brown Act
Yes,
very specifically
yes.
says that you cannot require people to do that.
You're not required to put your name, but you can require that we have speaker
All right.
cards so that we can do this orderly.
So,
Can you please hold discussion until everyone fills out cards, since this has changed?
what we're going to do is explain the game rules, and then people can go out and fill out the cards as the matter progresses. So the speakers will be called in order of the speaker cards, and I have a stack of them here already, so apparently it wasn't terribly difficult for others. And due to the number of speaker cards, speakers will have 1 minute each to speak. The 1 minute timer will be strictly enforced. Please address the council and not the public. Refrain from clapping or other outbursts as they interrupt the flow of the meeting. You may use jazz hands to show support if you like. Please keep your signs in the back of the room so you don't block the view of someone behind you or in front of you. And once you have spoken, please move to the lobby or outside to allow others in to speak because there's standing room only out there. We will be maintaining a limit on the number of people in the room to comply with fire safety regulations. So, having said that, what I want to do is introduce the item. For some reason, people seem to think that we don't hear what you're saying. And the mere fact that we can't respond to public comment requires us not to say anything. So the vice mayor and I, after our last meeting, decided that we needed to find a way to let you know what your city council is thinking. And so we worked with the city manager's office and we put together a strategy to allow you to hear what we're thinking by agendizing this issue and by having a proposed resolution associated with this agenda item. So that's how we got here tonight. And with that, did the city manager have any comment at all? Okay, you're looking at me like, okay. And so I'm going to ask the vice mayor if she has any opening remarks on introducing this item.
Yeah, I would just like to say that what we did really hear very loudly and clearly was the importance of you hearing what we have to think. And I think we haven't, of course, the city council hasn't discussed this. It's only between the mayor and the vice mayor, but we felt that it was, we're sit up here and we just appear to have stone faces, but clearly there's a lot going on behind that. And just wanted to be able to look at what, be able to respond so you can hear what we think. And then in putting together, we attempted our best to put together a very broad resolution with the understanding of the complexity of the issue that we're facing and the understanding that as a city council, unfortunately, we don't really have the expertise to really understand and vet the nuances of this issue. So our goal was to be very, very, to be broad and be able to talk about the things that we feel that could really move this process forward in a positive way. It may not do that, but that was our goal in this, and very heartfelt. Just so that you know that, very heartfelt.
All right. So.
Do you have copies for us? A written copy so that we could actually have the resolution that you're going to prepare?
I don't believe that we do have written copies, but you know what? We'll be happy to read it. How's that?
Well, I know, but
It's also online, available to anybody.
I've been on other boards and they usually provide a resolution for people to look at, but if you
Right.
have, that's okay.
Okay.
Mayor, there is a copy in the binder out front if somebody wants to look at the hard copy, but you can also read it out loud
Okay.
as well.
So, let's see here.
This is a learning lesson for all of us.
Does anybody have it in front of them? Oh, could I burden you with? I'm happy to read it. All right. I haven't been reading anything tonight. All right. Here's the resolution. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sonoma calling for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas to ensure protection of civilians and facilitation of humanitarian aid. Whereas acknowledging the subject matter of this resolution, thank you, of this resolution is outside the City of Sonoma's direct jurisdiction, but conceding the City of Sonoma is sometimes called to make statements outside its normal purview, and whereas all human life is precious, regardless of faith or ethnicity, and whereas recognizing the urgent need to end the ongoing hostilities and release of hostages by Hamas to prevent further loss of life, displacement, and suffering among civilian populations, and whereas stressing the importance of the protection of civilians in armed conflict in accordance with international humanitarian law and human rights law is critical, and whereas emphasizing the necessity of ensuring the safe and unimpeded access to humanitarian aid to all affected areas and populations. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Sonoma, number 1, calls for an immediate cessation of all hostilities by all parties involved in the conflict and release of hostages taken by Hamas on October 7th, 2023. Number 2, calls for all parties to respect the principles of international humanitarian law and human rights law, ensuring the protection of civilians, including women, children, and vulnerable groups. And number 3, urges all parties to refrain from any actions that would impede the delivery of humanitarian assistance and to ensure the safe, rapid, and unimpeded passage of humanitarian aid to affected areas and populations. Be it further resolved that the city clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to the federal elected officials representing the residents of the City of Sonoma, the U.S. Representative Mike Thompson, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, and U.S. President Joe Biden. I might add that we know that there are other people that would want to receive this and that we would want to send it to, and that is obviously needs further addressing. And then it says passed, resolved, and adopted if any of that happens at the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sonoma on this 5th day of June 2024 by the following vote. So that is the proposed resolution that's on the table. And now I am going to open it up to the City Council for discussion. Questions? Ms. Lowe.
Through the mayor, if the city manager knows how many cities in the North Bay area have passed resolutions.
In Sonoma County, I'm aware of one city, city of Cotati, that has passed a resolution in Sonoma County.
Any in Napa?
I'm unaware of Napa and Marin at this time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Then we are going to open public comment, and I have a stack of cards here. And the first one is Alexandra Bakar. Lexi.
Don't start it yet. The minute is going to throw me off. Okay, hello. Hi. My name is Lexi Bakar, and I'm here to urge you to please vote yes for the proposed ceasefire resolution. It's been pretty frustrating to hear from many of you in power that this is not a local issue or outside our purview. Not only are our tax dollars going directly to Israel while Sonomans struggle to pay rent, but Sonoma County is home to General Dynamics, the world's 6th largest defense contractor. Its Healdsburg location produces guidance systems for tactical missiles and extended range munitions, including parts for the GBU 39 17-kilo bomb, which was used in the Rafah massacre on May 26th, resulting in the deaths of over 45 Palestinians. Oh, crap. This is a local issue. We are directly involved. There's so much more to be done, and I see this resolution as a step towards peace. And I am so proud of everyone in this room that continues to fight for this. Please, please vote yes for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Josette Eichert? Has she gone? Actually, did you submit for this public comment?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. Okay, Josette Eicher, Boys Hot Springs. And I'm very happy today that it is on the agenda. And as you know, I'm not going to repeat myself because I've written to you all before. And so you all know what I think and what I feel and why it's important for local governments and local organizations to do these ceasefire resolutions, because it sends a message to our federal government. And I don't want to criticize the resolution and change it, but I would wish for stronger language. And for an example is what the Sonoma Valley Democrats have recently passed, which addresses a lot of the historic issues and things that are important. And when I hear you say you aren't informed, I'll make this quickly. One place to get some great information is the People Power in the Springs, and also the Praxis Peace Institute, which will be doing great presentations, one coming up this Friday that anyone can listen to on Zoom to give historic perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Ariel Mihik, so sorry if that's incorrect. And next up will be Esther Lavicious.
The last minute change to 1 minute is a little bit frustrating. Today is Nakska Day, commemorating 57 years since the start of Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza, territories it failed to colonize in 1948, now encompassing Palestine in its entirety. It's marked as Jerusalem Day, and to celebrate, nearly 100,000 settlers will march today through Jerusalem in a government-sanctioned march, yelling racist chants like "Death to Arabs" and "May your village burn." And Israeli police turn a blind eye as settlers rampage through the town. These terror attacks by the Zionist settlers were never just about Gaza or just about Hamas. Their aim is total eradication of the Palestinian people and total occupation of the land. Within a month, over 1 million Palestinians in Gaza may face severe famine while aid trucks wait at the border, blocked by Israel and illegal settlers. Our Sonoma tax dollars continue to fund these atrocities. What was true 8 months ago is still true today. The urgency for a ceasefire has never been greater. What's different today is you get to cast a vote for your humanity, for all of us to witness. I implore you to approve the ceasefire resolution before you.
Esther Levicius. Okay. Then we'll move on to Ms. Collins. Amara Collins.
My name is Amara Collins, and as someone born and raised in Sonoma, I have seen firsthand how our residents have upheld a commitment to the natural environment and fostered a community that allows generations to stay alive within our town. Both of these core aspects are things that are actively being decimated in Palestine right now. Palestinians are subject to continuous attacks that have left them cyclically disenfranchised with no infrastructure to support them. Entire generations of people have been taken out with this conflict. Outside of thousands of civilian casualties, the land has suffered significant pollution. We cannot stand by watching attack after attack on people who have no means of protecting themselves. You claim that because this war isn't happening on our soil, it doesn't affect us directly. But it's using our taxpayer dollars. The livelihood of the Palestinian people can be directly affected by our actions. This is everyone's problem. You stand up here today as a group of volunteers who claim to represent the livelihood of the Sonoma residents with an unwavering commitment to what they need. But you are not listening. I urge you to act on behalf of myself. Oh.
I think we got it.
Thank you.
Claire Calamano.
Hi, I'm Claire Carlamagno. My family has been here in Sonoma for over 80 years, if you can believe that. I'm asking today for you to pass the ceasefire resolution. We are living in deeply transformative and broken times. I don't think anyone can disagree with this, and it's my deepest concern to see people's hearts harden, to become so convinced of a narrative that reason and heartfulness disappears. My deepest concern is the apathy and righteousness involved in dismissing, or even worse, justifying and excusing a genocide happening right in front of our faces every single day. It's Pride Month this month, and as one of my queer teachers, Lama Rod Owens, says, quote, "Queerness is about choosing the way we want to be free, which means choosing a reduction of violence, deep care, for ourselves and our collectives, as well as our liberatory emotional well-being."
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. N. Hui Lee. Thank you.
Ceasefire now. Permanent ceasefire now. Greetings to you all beautiful people. We are all here for peace. And the peace starts with the ceasefire now. My name is In-hee Lee, she, they. I'm a grandmother of two. I was born and raised in the ruins of the Korean War. So I know the misery, suffering, tears with the blood, broken hearts. And time to stop all these crazy words. Let's stop sending out tax dollars to all these wars, you know. Sonoma City alone, with a population 10,000, contributes 191,000 a year. Why is that? Please stop all these wars by sending our tax dollars to Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel. Please make me proud of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sonoma County resident. Ceasefire now and forever.
All right. We need to move along here. Jennifer Miller, please. You're up. And then Richie Cross will be on deck.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Miller. I am another queer Jewish community member and resident who supports the liberation of Palestine, and I'm here to support the ceasefire resolution. So some people have mentioned other municipalities that have passed resolutions. So this resolution really matters. This local resolution really matters. We have Pacifica, Daly City, Santa Rosa School Board, Commission on Human Rights in Sonoma County, Cotati, Pacifica, Fort Bragg, East Palo Alto, Richmond, Oakland, Albany. The cities keep growing. So you are not alone. This is not really that controversial, honestly. And what you are doing is adding, like people have shared, we're sending a message to our federal government. So this is a local issue because your constituents have spoken. Your constituents vote for you. So please listen to us and listen to them. We also have 94 members of Congress calling for a ceasefire, including 19 who are co-authors of House Resolution 786.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Okay, Richie.
Hi, my name is Richie Cross. I was born and raised in Sonoma, and I'm just here with everyone else to show support for the ceasefire resolution. And I would like to thank at least a version of this finally being added to the agenda, so it's nice to be able to have a
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Katie Jewell.
Hello, my name is Katie Jewell, and I've been and I've been a resident for Sonoma of over 15 years. I know a lot about the inner workings of Sonoma's government and local governments in general because of research I've done for school and conversations I've had with my family and friends who work in the field. So I understand why you might be hesitant to pass the ceasefire. Your voting to pass it could jeopardize your future on the council and create too much discourse within the community. However, if you vote against the resolution, you would be voting against saving thousands of Palestinians. You are our elected officials. We have given you the power. We are urging you to value it. Choose lives over your reputation. If this ceasefire is not passed, the outcome will not be worse than if it is. Nothing is worse than the genocide that will continue. That being said, if it is not passed, we will not stop. The faces you see here every Wednesday will continue to come. We will continue to berate you. Vote for the ceasefire. This is bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than Sonoma. We have too much privilege to sit back and watch. Thank you for your time, and thank you for adding this to the agenda.
Thank you. Ava Bolger. On deck is Mike Smith.
Hi, my name is Ava Bolger, and I've been a Sonoma resident for a total of 13 years, and I'm once again asking for the ceasefire resolution to be passed in the city of Sonoma. I first want to truly thank you for hearing us and responding appropriately by adding a ceasefire resolution to tonight's agenda. I appreciate that we've gotten to this point, but it is time to keep that momentum going towards peace and vote yes on its passage. Getting to this point has been months in the making, and to deny a resolution would be disregarding your constituents' devotion of time and effort, but we will not back down, regardless of your decision tonight. Change starts locally, and your decision can and will have a larger impact. That being said, I'm now asking you to find the humanity within yourselves, the kind that spans across geopolitical lines and that overcomes barriers of race and ethnicity, the kind that transcends self-interest and uplifts us with the love that we have for each other. That humanity that we have to cultivate, we need to cultivate to save our brothers and sisters. Without it, many more lives will be lost. Use your power the way it was intended to be used when it was given to you. Use it to represent your constituents and uphold social justice.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Smith.
Hi, my name is Mike Smith. I'm not going to go into all the reasons why you should vote because you've heard them over and over. I just want to say that this is what democracy is about. This is your people coming and talking to you, and you're listening. And it might not be what we want, but it's stop the bombing and ceasefire and humanitarian aid. And I think that if we're going to survive as a country and not have fascism, we're going to have broad-based coalitions where people who think differently figure out a way they can speak together. So by doing this today, we as a community will be speaking together and saying hell no to the slaughter of innocents in Gaza, and that we all have a common human soul. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Laura Escutia. And on deck is Jordan Avner.
Piali na no toca la britzin ni iwi papure pechahuanawa masawalme. Hello, hola, buenos dias. My name is Laura Escutia Medina. I'm part of the Metro, the SRJC, and also a Sonoma State University student. I'm also part of the Coalition of the Safety School Belonging. I'm here to speak and urge you to pass the ceasefire resolution for Palestine. This genocide that is happening in Palestine does not just affect the people, but also plays a part of stripping culture and identity. As an Indigenous person, I know far too well the detrimental impacts of genocide. This is not just a one-person issue, this is a humanitarian issue. We have seen our own government be on the wrong side of history and have been complicit to genocide. Please be on the side of liberation and resistance in our history and pass the ceasefire resolution for Palestine. Tlasokamati.
Jordan Avner.
Hi there, my name is Jordan, and I grew up in Sonoma, and I'm urging you to pass the ceasefire resolution, and I'm just going to read you a list of items that were restricted from entering Gaza prior to October 2023. This is actually 10 years old. So just to illustrate the apartheid system. So it's an it's a lettered system. So A4 size paper, biscuits and sweets, cardamom, coriander, cumin, ginger, nutmeg, and sage, chicks, like baby chickens, cement, donkeys, jam, musical instruments, fabric for clothing, pasta, newspapers, notebooks, ropes for fishing, sewing machines, toys, spare parts for tractors, and writing implements. That's what Israel did to Gaza.
Thank you. Julian Mendez. On deck is Randy H.A. Julian?
Julian is first.
You're right.
Who is it?
It doesn't matter. Please come up and identify yourself and we'll move on.
My name is Erandi. I'm the president of Mecha, the SRJC, and the Coalition of Safety for Safety and Belonging, SOCO. I'm here today to urge you to pass the ceasefire resolution. This is not a one-person or community issue. This is a humanitarian issue. Indigenous communities and peoples have historically been targeted and displaced by colonizers. We learn about the colonization of indigenous peoples in history, and for so long, it wasn't even depicted that way. Instead, it was called the discovery of a new world or country. This is no longer just part of our past history or part of a textbook. We are actively living it. We're seeing this happen right before our eyes. It's been publicized all over the media, news, Instagram, TikTok. There's no excuse to not be aware of this ongoing genocide in Palestine. People practicing giving land acknowledgements to acknowledge indigenous communities, their history and their stewardship, yet the very same institutions who practice land acknowledgements sit idly by as genocide is being committed against Palestinians and an indigenous group. Uchar Winapikwa.
Julian Mendez.
Hello, I'm Julian Mendez. I'm here to also say that why you should support ceasefire resolution in Gaza. I will start by thanking the council for adding the resolution to the agenda. And along with that, I would like to remind you of the first time I was here for public comment, where I read a quote from a displaced Palestinian man in Gaza who spoke about the children he saw die and how it was American weapons Israel was using and is still using against civilians. I would like to show you this sign that I have here of a quote, which reads, "The way we fight in Gaza allows us to kill innocent Palestinians." That's Ori Javadi, a former IDF soldier who's now an anti-occupation activist. Both of these things serve as a reminder of why we want to stop sending arms to the Israeli government and IDF, and a few of the reasons, along with the hostage situation, why Sonoma County should be supporting a ceasefire and why city council members should vote for it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ronamar Lopez Bazan. On deck is Angela.
Hola, hello, my name is Ronimar Lopez Basan, and I'm a Sonoma Valley local. I went to El Verano Elementary, Adele Harrison Middle School, and was Sonoma Valley's class of 2018. Last time I was here, I drew parallels of my upbringing in this beautiful valley in contrast to the hell on earth Palestinian children are forced to endure. It is day 243, and I'm here today to ask each and every single one of you council members to please pass this ceasefire resolution. This horrific genocide occurring before our eyes is an international crime, which has been confirmed by the International Court of Justice. Our federal representatives still don't listen to us. Gaza continues to be starved, all while Palestinians in the West Bank are targets of settler attacks and violence. Stay on the right side of history and with humanity. Gracias.
Angela and Seth Donnelly on deck.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, for agendizing. My name is Angela Marino. I urge you to say yes. I also just wanted to bring your attention that all three of these areas, weapons manufacturing, mass incarceration, and surveillance industries, were named for review by a task force that was set by one of the largest holdings in the state of California, and that's the University of California system. And so I'm going to lead you to a quote by Chancellor Christ, who said, quote, "To respond to the urgency of this moment as well as the demands, the task force," that is an assigned task force beginning in June, "will begin by immediately addressing industry-specific divestment, which will include, but is not limited to, weapons manufacturing, mass incarceration, surveillance industries, and the task force shall produce its report in the first phase by September 1st of 2024 for consideration." So I wanted to ask you, urge you, a task force could be put together.
I'm
Something
sorry.
like that would be
you.
appropriate for us to take as well.
Thank you. Seth Donnelly, followed by, I think it's Rory Perkins.
Seth Donnelly, Sonoma resident. Thank you as well for agendizing it. It's good to be in this moment. I think this needs to pass tonight. Absolutely. There's no more time to waste. I simply want to say there's two things I think we could very easily revise. One is it should say, "Be it resolved that we will not send any more of our tax dollars in the form of military aid to Israel, and we will cut off weapon sales," because that is the vast majority of what's causing the suffering. And I also think we should revise the language around hostages to say all hostages, which is inclusive of the thousands of Palestinians, including children, held unjustly in Israeli prisons. Thank you.
Thank you. Rory Perkins. On deck is Margaret DeMatteo. If you can stage yourself so that we can keep moving.
Hello, my name is Bree Perkins, and I'm a Sonoma County resident. I'm also a graduate of Sonoma State. I'm here to read you just a quote from someone in Palestine. She's a poet. I think it's important for you to hear their voices. "Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the shrapnels of genocide to rip through their very being to say, 'Don't resist.' But when you live in an open-air graveyard, when you see the children's bones turn into bending stems, when you see their skin thinned and their pupils whitened, they are too weak to cry, they are too weak to scream. When children watch their fathers come back in body bags instead of with bags of flour, when they see their fathers drown trying to get them a meal that won't fill them up, when a 5-year-old child recounts his pregnant mother's shooting right before his eyes, when his sister becomes her sibling's mother, but she's a child herself, when a child sleeps next to his mother's corpse for one last time, when a brother carries his dead brother's body on his back, a brother carries a strewn piece of his brother in a backpack.
I'm
when
sorry.
children
Thank you. Margaret DeMatteo.
Good evening, City Council and staff. Thank you for bringing this to the agenda tonight. My name is Margaret Amadio, she, her. I live in Sonoma County with my small family. I never imagined driving over here 8 months after endless horrors in Palestine to ask you to make this decision tonight, a decision that would put you on the right side of history, on the side of human rights, when you have a position of power. All of us feel powerless at this point in time, and we're asking you as community members to make a decision for us on our behalf, on behalf of untold suffering. And I know that when you look back on your decision tonight, that you will have no regrets in passing a ceasefire resolution. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ravel Mast and Maria Barnett.
Hello, City Council. My name is Ravel Mast. I grew up in Petaluma, California. I am here, ceasefire now. It is far past time. Our federal government is failing us. They are committing war crimes. They are enabling war crimes. Our tax dollars that we raise in this county that go to Healdsburg to make bombs are being sent to Gaza to kill innocent children. Precision bombs are being used to kill aid workers and journalists, while dumb bombs that are 2,000-ton bombs are being dropped on Hamas members when they're at home with their entire families. They specifically are trying to kill as many people as possible. They are targeting aid workers, journalists. Ceasefire now.
Thank you. Tom Conlon. Oh, I'm sorry, Maria first, yes.
I have this for the City Council to review while I read.
All right.
My name is Maria Barakat. The picture before you is of Ahmed al-Najjar, an 18-month-old whose head was blown off by a bomb made in California. CNN has filed a formal report about it. They have studied this. It was made in California with our fucking tax dollars, pardon my French. This was 2 Sundays ago in the afternoon whenever I saw this father holding his child, walking in circles. They still haven't found his head. They just buried him without his head. They were intense. They were sitting in the sand playing. His mother, his sister, and his brother were killed, and that's our fault. We've sat here for 8 months. There is no way around that. We've sat here for 8 months, and this is our fault because of the complacency of the American people. Our elected leaders are making a tragic mistake, and those in power should rise up. Not only that, we have 450 signatures on our petition.
Thank you.
We are a coalition.
Thank you. Tom Collin, please. Tom Collin, are you here? Where is he?
Respectfully, Council, Tom Collin here on behalf of the Sonoma Valley Democratic Club. Beth Hadley and Sabina Cesar were unable to be here tonight to read to you the resolution for a ceasefire and end hostilities in Palestine resolution that was passed by our club last week. I thank you for agendizing this item. I'm going to briefly state, whereas all life is precious and we support the right of all people to self-determination and peace, and we oppose all forms of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, hate, racism, discrimination, xenophobia, and bigotry, and we believe in truth, justice, and history. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sonoma Valley Democratic Club calls on a long list, including you, to take major steps to bring about immediately a permanent and immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank, the immediate release of all Israeli hostages and Palestinian detainees and political prisoners, a halt to offensive weapons sales and shipments to Israel, the funding and immediate unobstructed entry of humanitarian aid and assistance into Gaza. Be it further resolved that the Sonoma Valley Democratic Club partner with the Sonoma Valley Ceasefire Coalition.
Thank you. Mariana, no last name here. Mariana? Hello? Dinia Candela?
Thank you. I'm here again. I didn't get a chance to say this earlier, but I lived in the Valley for 20 years and I've graduated also from Sonoma Valley High School. I'm now a statistician. I'm in support of the passing of this resolution. In my public service experience in government, I have sat and watched people wondered if something was their role to address issues that fall within the jurisdiction. I can count it, not even my hands. This is yet another tactic generationally used to dismiss the responsibility that we have in front of us and the interconnectedness that we must have as a whole as a community. As an Afro-Indigenous woman, I can tell you this is not new, and the erasure of people is what the oppressor wants, and it's intentional in colonialism, and it's how you approach genocide. I would find it ironic if we were adopting incredibly important resolutions today while not being able to adopt a ceasefire resolution. I'm sharing in the words of a piece by writing by Demetri Smith by the Sonoma County Peace Press. Written today. Black feminism has always recognized the connection between settler colonialism and racism, the connective threads between the struggles of Black and brown people worldwide. We know that what systems apartheid, segregation, and Jim Crow look like because we have lived them and we continue to resist them.
Celeste Winters.
Hello, I'm Mariana. My name is Mariana. I'm a resident of Sonoma and have been working in an after-school program caring for youth in this town for the last 2 years and counting. I enjoy what I do. Having the ability to watch the new generation of Sonoma residents grow and develop into unique individuals is a privilege, one that the millions of Palestinian parents, children, and civilians do not have. This is clearly unjust. Everyone should be able to live their day-to-day life without the worry of death. I hope you side with humanity and vote yes towards a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Celeste Winters.
I cannot jazz hands trauma and genocide, and it was insensitive to direct us to do so. Humanity demands the call for a ceasefire and the end to genocide, and humanity requires that we demand innocent people in Gaza get to live, get to have access to food, shelter, water, medicine, but just as important as mere survival, they have the ability to thrive, to love, to build their families, to have culture and tradition and celebrations. We shouldn't have to imagine our own children to feel compelled to demand an end to blockades of human rights aid and the end of genocide. Humanity requires that we demand a ceasefire, and we demand our country provide aid and not weapons. The world is watching, and most of the world has already demanded this. At the time our country has sat in the comfort of our homes with food and access to health care and debated saying these words with our whole chest and heart, over 35,000 people in Gaza have been killed. Over 12,300 were children. Humanity requires that we not be silent and that we speak loudly, demanding an end to genocide as the Palestinians in Gaza have been silenced mostly by death. The Palestinian people in Gaza need all of this, us in every town, to prioritize their liberation, humanity,
Celeste,
and rights.
We're trying to get everybody in. Celine. On deck is Victoria Hernandez.
Hello. I hope this is the last time I'm here speaking on this issue. I urge you to pass the ceasefire resolution. Your constituents have been showing up for months, begging to be represented by their city council members. We've responded to your concerns regarding the locality of the issue extensively, and I believe more than sufficiently. Most importantly, our community has shown you that the genocide occurring in Palestine is affecting us profoundly in different yet equally important ways. To democratically represent us, you have a responsibility to take a stand. The resolution calls for the immediate release of all Israeli hostages and for the flow of unimpeded humanitarian aid to reach the Palestinian civilians starving in Gaza. Over 36,000 Palestinians have been murdered by mostly U.S.-supplied weapons as of today. Neutrality in times of great human suffering will be remembered as complicity. When we look back on these atrocities, I don't want Sonoma to be remembered as apathetic. Sonoma stood for peace and against human suffering during Vietnam, and we should have the same sense of humanity to do so again. Thank you.
Victoria Hernandez. Next is Casper Bowling.
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria Hernandez, and I'm a resident of Sonoma. Every time I'm here, I feel the need, out of desperation, to make it known that I'm somewhat important in this town, in hopes that someday you, my elected representatives, will take my voice seriously. But to be blunt, whether or not the person that stands before you today has authority and credibility in this town, you still represent me. You represent us. But most importantly, you represent your own personal values, whom I hope include integrity, empathy, and compassion for humankind. So today, I speak to you not on the base of respectability, but as a person. You, regardless of your responsibility on this board, you as a human being, as a person, have the moral responsibility to stand against the genocide of the Palestinian people. You all have the responsibility as a human being to stand for human rights and use your power as a human being to pass a ceasefire resolution. Ceasefire now.
Thank you. Casper Bowen. Casper Bowen. Casper Bowen.
All right, hello. Over these last few months, we have met with community members and local organizers of all different demographics and of a majority of different ideologies, and like all of them have supported a ceasefire resolution being passed. It's not unpopular to support this resolution. It does not endanger your positions on this council, and it does not alienate your constituents. Your primary job as an elected official is to represent us, and we have proven to you over months of local advocacy that we overwhelmingly want this resolution to be passed. Yesterday, I passed the rainbow crosswalks painted on the plaza, and while I am appreciative that you are accommodating of your queer community in the city, I do not know anyone who can celebrate this demonstration of allyship knowing that you have refused to acknowledge an act of genocide for months. Like, it's counterintuitive that the city of Sonoma should literally paint itself as a champion of equal rights while turning a blind eye to the ongoing massacre of over 40,000 people. The condemnation of genocide should not be such a highly contended issue for the Palestinian, Jewish, queer, Latino, Asian, Black communities in Sonoma that you have
Casper, thank you.
Y'all are not listening to us.
All right, Lev, L-E-V. That's all I have. Lev.
The resolution appears to have been drafted before the President of the United States made an official ceasefire proposal on May 31st, 2024. Given that the federal government has addressed the concern expressed, there is no need for anyone to make a call for a ceasefire at this point. Why would you want to adopt this resolution today, on the day that Hamas has actually rejected the ceasefire proposal? On the day a pro-Hamas, pro-ceasefire mob took over a building at Stanford and painted it with graffiti, death to the United States, kill cops, death to Israel, IF, KKK cops are all the same. Could I have a show of hands in this room of people who believe Israel has a right to exist?
Please address the council, not the audience.
Well, to those who protest against Israel in these chambers, I ask, where were you when Syrians, Yemenis, Darfurians
Okay,
were
thank you
killed?
very much. Your time is up. Matt Metzler, followed by Michael Tatar. Yeah, Michael.
Everything I want to say has already been said. Please pass the resolution.
Thank you, Matt. Michael Tatone, Tatone, is it?
It's Tatone.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael. I've lived in Sonoma County almost my whole life. I just came here to tell you that if you think that by not supporting a ceasefire resolution, you're choosing the side of neutrality, or you think that by not supporting a ceasefire resolution, you're choosing the side of peace, or choosing the side of not alienating anybody, you could not be more wrong. Your constituents have shown up time and time again to be heard, and you are blocking that with your power. That is not acceptable. That is not neutrality. Choose the side of peace today, and please support the ceasefire resolution.
Jeremy Marquardt. Mandy Bowling on deck.
I first have to thank the City Council for bringing this resolution to the meeting. This is a matter of peace, a matter of love for our fellow people. I do wish the language was stronger in this resolution, namely to end military support to Israel, the occupiers of Palestine, and the state bombing innocent civilians, and the release of all hostages, both Palestinian and Israeli. However, even still, I urge all of the City Council to vote yes on this resolution. We all have a role to play to end genocide and imperialism here and abroad. This is your opportunity to do just that. Do it.
Okay. Mandy Bowen.
Hello, I'm Mandy Bowling. I am a Jew. I am a Sonoman. I am desperate for a ceasefire. I am happy to let the people who spoke before me speak for me, because I'm anxious to get to the part where you pass this. Please.
Kwan Yu.
Hi, I'm Chin. I'll keep this short and blunt because enough has been said, but not enough has been done. I urge the board to adopt a permanent ceasefire resolution. As if the death, displacement, and entire eradication of a city aren't enough to justify it, families are desperately trying to keep their children from starving, with malnutrition already claiming lives. We see the rise of protests and solidarity movements such as the university encampments because it is our duty as witnesses of this atrocity to act and resist. This is the most documented crime against humanity, yet where is the urgency? Be on the right side of history, be the difference, be human. Thank you.
Victoria Mendez.
I'm Victoria. I'm a born and raised Sonomian, and I'm currently a graduate student in social work. And what we do is we advocate. That's why I'm here today. And you say that you're not as informed on the issue. Well, I simply ask you to educate yourself. I also think that after 8 months, how can you not be informed? I just ask that you recognize your privilege, recognize your power, recognize the oppression that's happening, and I urge you to pass this ceasefire resolution.
That concludes the stack of cards that I have. Are there any speakers that still need to speak? That's right. Just come on up, speak. You've got 1 minute.
Tanya Marsh. I left my card. It was the first one in the basket. I'm not sure what happened. But I'm here to support a permanent ceasefire now for Palestine. Changing our time limit for the process to speak at the last minute is not fair democratic practice. Some of us have tried to limit our time and what we can really say to you. Okay. So we've been trying to tell you the truths for months, and I'm grateful that this is finally on the agenda, but extremely disappointed that you say you aren't resourced to know the truths, because we've been here trying to share what you may not have seen for months. And I'm not understanding why there hasn't been more requests for dialogue with us to understand what we are asking for when we're talking about a genocide. So the wording, if we're going to change anything, release all the hostages, because Israel has stolen more children and adults to brutalize, commit organ theft, and kill in their detention centers over the last 76 years. So do the right thing, finally, vote yes, help in the genocide, ceasefire now, for humanity, free Palestine.
Thank you. All right, did you have some comment?
My name is Katrina Waddell. I'm a new Sonoma resident, and this is the first time I've spoken publicly.
A little closer to the microphone.
Closer.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit terrified. I'm maybe the only Palestinian in the room. So I'm going to share a story. I'm not? Oh.
All right, please address the council.
But so I am grateful for the council. I'm grateful for the community. My family were residents of Jerusalem in the 1940s. On July 2nd, 1946, my grandparents lost their brother in the bombing of the King David Hotel. This has been going on for decades. It is personal. My story is one of many of the 40,000 that are happening today. And so it impacts members of the community. You're making a statement that's in line really with what's happening in the broader US and your constituents. And so I just want to share gratitude and help humanize every Palestinian. Our dreams are the same. We want to live in community. We want a better life for our friends and family.
Thank you.
And that's really what this is all about.
Thank you.
So with gratitude.
All right, a couple more cards that came in. Zach Roth.
Hello, my name is Zach Roth. I'm once again here to ask for support for the ceasefire. Everything that needs to be said has been said, so all I'm going to say is supporting a ceasefire supports humanity. Thank you, and ceasefire now.
Thank you. Isaac Calderon. Isaac.
Hi, my name is Isaac Calderon. I've been a resident of Sonoma for 18 years, and I've watched family after family beg for your eyes and ears. In Gaza and the West Bank, here in our country and town, we are meant to have faith in our community members and leaders in representing us, but what faith can we have as those representing us continue to approach an occupation mercilessly killing and abusing an entire country of people, of families with tolerance? How can we sit comfortably as complete inhumanity and brutality occur before us? When ignorance and tolerance became a part of the American personality, I cannot recall, but it is a tradition revolting and out of date. People are being slaughtered, and it is time dire for your attention, humanity, and action. Our ignorance is not harmless, neither is your neutrality. Your inaction is beyond more active than you believe and is a reflection of everyone here. We ask you to lend us your ears and voice and represent this community and be the step towards justice. Pass this resolution, ceasefire now.
Thank you. All right, last call for anybody else that didn't get to fill out the card or filled out a card and didn't get to speak. Anybody?
Hi. How could you not support the ceasefire? That's my question. Children are starving. Children are being blown up. They're being operated on kitchen tables because there's no more hospitals. They've all been blown up. Children are having amputations done with no anesthetic. So either if you vote yes, then you're a decent human being. If you vote no, then you're voting to have children be amputated without anesthetics. That's the bottom line. Either you're a decent human being or you're not. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. What happened to jazz hands, everybody?
I'm going to say something that not everybody will like necessarily. I lost friends in the Holocaust.
Good.
My family
I'm sorry.
No.
You need to speak into the microphone so we can hear you, and please address the council, not
You're right.
the
I
audience.
was wrong. No. I want you to understand that I want peace. We want peace. We don't want harm on either side. I'm standing for you to pass this. I think it's incredibly important. And yes, I'm impassioned. It's not okay what's happening. And we are paying for it. Our tax dollars are paying for it. Stop. You have a choice. You really do. A small group of people can educate themselves, especially in your position.
All right.
Hello, my name is Miles Moore. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a constituent of Sonoma, and I was born and raised here. I wanted to acknowledge, for one, that this has been brought up onto the agenda, which I would like to thank you for and applaud. However, I would also like to acknowledge that Sonoma County has had a history, and Sonoma specifically has shown up for other issues. We were very strong in our stance in support of Ukraine with the invasion from Russia and standing against another Zionist terrorist power that's coming in to take over land and causing war and famine and desecration. And And I'd like to see that energy continued and pushed forward where we're seeing injustices across the world. And that's including those that are happening currently in Palestine, but also we should look at what we can do to support Sudan and the Congo and other issues that are going on. We have influence and power and the privilege to decide not to be educated on these issues. So I'd appreciate it as your constituent if you would put your efforts into a ceasefire. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other speakers, I will bring it back.
Hello, my name is Petal Conlin, and you've heard me speak before, so I don't need to repeat myself. I just really want you to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'm going to bring it back to the council for discussion. Who would like to start the discussion?
I can.
Okay. Mr. Ding.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Mayor Gurney and Vice Mayor Rivers. Yeah, you give us this kind of opportunity. Finally, we can gather together. We appreciate this is a part of the democracy. At least, and before we issue the ceasefire resolution, we have this kind of a meeting. At least we have the ceasefire in the Sonoma. I don't want to see two different parties and fighting each other. That is my the gratitude for both mayor and the vice mayor. And today I saw that a lot of the people coming and also addressed, especially the young. I so admire you, and you are part of our procedures of the democracy. And I understand still so many people, they couldn't get this opportunity, address freely for yourself. Your voice has been heard, and we are really, really and considering each word and each sentence and its meaning behind those. This is mine an opening meeting, opening the scene. Thank you.
Anybody?
So I'll also make an opening comment. So I have for decades, and also especially since October 6th, I have not gone by a day when I did not study this issue. I have a long history of understanding issues of activism, as I was very active in issues around Central America. And I've talked with people across the country on both sides of this issue. So when I have said that I feel like I do not have adequate information, it's because of the complexity of this issue and because of the passion that there is on both sides. And so I have my, personal feelings about that. And I've been very, it's been very important to me to draft a resolution. I mean, from all of that study, trying to draft a resolution and in talking about how do you craft something, that you're doing it in a way that you're really representing as best you can the community. And I really appreciate everybody that is here, and I appreciate that effort of coming here. But we have also really, received thousands and thousands of emails. Of course, those emails, we don't know where those people live, or, they're not here. So I don't put as much credit to the emails that we're receiving. I mean, thousands of emails that are against the ceasefire. I'm talking about those that are against the ceasefire that we've received. Yeah, so, but in any case, we don't know where those people live. We don't, it's not like people actually showing up here. So I just want to let you know that every time I hear something here that I have not already learned about myself, I do go out and study it and see, or if it contradicts with anything that I've heard someplace else, I will go out and look at it and find, what is the potential factual information there. And I will still say, as supportive of I am of the end of the hostilities and humanitarian aid and a ceasefire, it is a very complex issue. And you may not, that I'm speaking my personal beliefs of the complexity and really trying to craft something that represents this community as best that we can. And that, therefore, I support what we've put forward here and certainly would like to see this go through. But I think because of the importance of this issue, I think it's really important for that there be as much support from the council as possible if we were to vote yes on this.
Thank you. Mr. Wellander or Ms. Lowe? I'm happy to.
Thank you. I too greatly appreciate the fact that our mayor and vice mayor chose to agendize this, because it has been uncomfortable and something that I didn't anticipate signing up for when I decided to run for city council, to listen to the passionate expressions of hurt and having to stay silent. So I appreciate the fact that we are able now to have a discussion, a dialogue, a response to all the comments that have been shared. Contrary to what has been suggested in the past, I do have a heart and I do empathize with what's going on, and it is something that I have been struggling with for days and evenings and nights. When I campaigned to run for city council about 18 months ago, one of my items on my platform was that I did not want to make the position of city council for a town of 10,730 political. Translation means that I did not want to look through a lens that had Sacramento or Washington, D.C. as the focus, that the decisions I wanted to be focused on was what's in the best interest of Sonoma. That was something that I made clear during my campaign. I stand behind now. And so I do not want to be a hypocrite. And I do not, so I will not be supporting this resolution this evening as it's currently written. So I want to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wellander.
Wearing other hats that I wear in the Democratic Party and in the labor movement, I have supported resolutions very similar to this. And there's nothing in here that is different from what I believe. However, some of the language that I've listened to is not what I believe. And it disturbs me when I hear it, because I think the language that the mayor and the vice mayor put together was very heartfelt. And there are people that will be hurt because this will be turned around and it will be as if we said something that we didn't say. And that concerns me. I support the president's efforts to achieve a permanent ceasefire. I think that we all should hope that it works. I'm not going to say who is being a good actor or a bad actor in this. Every war is hell, as somebody said, and this certainly is hell. But I will say that some of the comments sitting here as someone raised in a Jewish community, seeing people with tattoos on their arms, knowing that I have literally not one single solitary person related to me on my father's side, not one drop of DNA, not one. It bothers me, some of the things that have been said. And it's really hard. It's not hard to acknowledge what's in this, because I believe in this, but some of the language that has been said, it's been very hurtful. and it's been very difficult for me. And what else was difficult was when you weren't here 6 months ago or whatever, self-identified Nazis Zoom bombed the meeting, called me a dirty Jew, gave out my home address, sent things to my house, and the police can verify this. So I want you to come together to realize there are people who aren't here, not because they don't believe in this, but because some of the rhetoric is very, very painful for them, and they have lived through a lot of anti-Semitism, and they're afraid to be here. And the young woman who spoke earlier, Esther, I believe her name was, because that was my grandmother's name, asking us to adopt, acknowledge anti-Semitism, I am all for that. And I hope that we also acknowledge Islamophobia as well, because there is hurt on all sides. So you have my support in terms of what this says, but there is a reason that I'm hesitating because of some of the language and the rhetoric that's come out today I don't believe in. And I don't want this to be twisted around. And that's why many city councils, most of them, have not done this. And the city council members in other cities have contacted us, and this is not something that they're interested in doing. And it doesn't mean we don't support what's in this. You have my word that I support this, but it's very, very difficult for me with no one else here feeling the way I feel to go forward. If the resolution said the Sonoma City Council supports President Biden's effort to achieve a permanent ceasefire in the Israeli-Gaza war, I would move that in a moment. And if people are willing to do that, I would move that as a statement from this council.
All right.
There are Jewish people here who have been talking to you for weeks, months.
Thank you.
Blood is on Biden's hands.
So,
That's what I mean.
like Mr. Wellander, when I ran really on a platform that says what is important to the local community. And while I hear each and every one of you, and I've heard each and every one of you for 5 or 6 council meetings, believe it or not, it's not lost on us. It has not been. And that's one of the reasons the vice mayor and I thought, well, let's see if we can come up with a solution here. And quite honestly, my position is we are local government, and that is our job. International affairs is not really a responsibility of us. When you talk about moral and ethical issues at play, sure. But is that the business of the Sonoma City Council? Yes. Well, I'm sure you would say that. I am.
What are you doing?
You know, we respect.
What if we were in Germany and the city council was like, this isn't our business?
Okay. I'm going to call recess if we're going to continue these outbursts. All right? All right. And I think you can see maybe what I'm saying. We've heard you.
You just said this wasn't local. We have told you it's local for 6 months and given you data to prove it.
You know what? Public comment has ended. If you want us to proceed on this discussion, let us do that. So I've not seen one shred of evidence that a small 10,500 jurisdiction, city of 10,500 people, has influenced or impacted any world event.
If it's our money, it's local.
If it's your money, but we don't send your money to the federal government. So we deal with property taxes, local sales taxes.
We understand how taxes work.
Well, good. Then don't suggest that we're sending money to the federal government. I'm not going to get into a dialogue. We can wrap this up right now if you would like.
It should be a people's dialogue.
All right. I won't even bother to continue my comments. Council, is there a motion?
I would like to address the mind and the feeling. I don't want to see any in the resolution where in the past by the vote under the pressure, under the efforts in here. I feel like, a little bit, and, the push or by enforcement. If any in the decision made under the pressure, it's not reasonable. So I would like not to say that yes or no, purely because I want to protect our community. Community unity is the number one. I don't want to see anything we're being divided again and again, deeper and deeper. Actually, a lot of the things we can share in commons. Why not? Why not refuse to accept a lot of the facts? I'm Asia. I'm very sensitive. Just like the Jews, just like black and other minorities. During the pandemic, people saying the China flu, right? And also, I was running for the city council. Some people said, hey, you're Chinese. You cannot run. People hate you. Of course, Asian hate. And it was very popular over there. I had a lot of the pressure as well. But finally, I received so many support from our community, a lot of the trust. Later on, I'm not honorably elected. So that is the positive, positive power. I strongly believe in the power of a positive community intention. I don't want to see any negative things gathered together and whose voice is louder and who want to vote. So I'm sorry, Mayor. I don't want to, stop you and put another step and want to vote. I want to stay, I will not vote. Today, I don't feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Well, okay.
In any other forum, I think, because I agree with Councilmember Ding, is that, coming in here with all intentions to be able to move something forward were the intentions. And I think that it's difficult to do that in the midst of making a decision when there still seems to be, in spite of us putting this forward, so much division. So I think that in any other forum you'd have a cooling off period. Like how can we chill out here? How can we look at really what it is that we're trying to do and how we can do that? And because the sense, unfortunately, and this makes me very, very sad, is that we put this forward and that there's still not support from the community from what we're trying to do. And I think that that's unfortunate. I think, unfortunately, I yeah.
All right.
I think at this point we don't have.
Okay. Mr. Wellander, looks like you lit up.
I was going to say that there was a resolution draft put forth, and it is uncomfortable from a variety of different spaces, but I think that we should either fish or cut bait. I'm not sure what we're going to gain from putting this off, in the sense that effort was put forth to draft a ceasefire that you felt was appropriate. And I'm not sure what we're going to gain by just putting it off. I could be wrong, so I'm ready for
I
more
don't
dialogue.
think, I think the fact, this has happened before at the city council. Things have come forward and for lack of a motion or lack of a second, things can come back. Things may change. As I said, I hope, and if I was a prayerful person, which I'm sorry I'm not, but maybe some people are, we would pray for a permanent ceasefire and that the president's efforts would prevail. If they do not, then I think why shouldn't we come back and look at this again and do something stronger? But at the moment, let's try and hope that there is a window of opportunity that perhaps something good will happen. That's all I can, can say. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that, Mr. Wellander. I think that's okay. Sometimes you just got to take a beat, and that's all right.
Okay, please be quiet. All right. Any other comments from the dais? Hearing none. Is there a motion? Hearing none. The matter fails for lack of a motion. All right, we're going to recess for 5 minutes. our meeting. And we're on item number 3, council members' reports and comments. Are there any council member reports or comments?
I have a few reports. Oh, there it is. Thank you. I had to find my notes, amongst my notes. I don't have, it's very quick, just meetings that I attended and events. So, attended a finance committee with, on May 22nd in preparation for the budget study session. And of course, as I attended, as all of us did, the budget study session on May 30th. Was honored to be able to present at the Memorial Day event that we had at the Veterans Cemetery, and just to hear the great words of Captain Crozier. And then also was very happy to be there with my fellow city council members at the Sonoma Pride event on May 30th. Oh, and I also wanted to thank Ron Wellander for covering the Sonoma Valley Citizens Advisory Commission meeting on my behalf.
I'll keep this very short. This was not a board meeting or a commission, but I had the privilege of attending Sonoma Valley High School's graduation last Friday night, and was very proud sitting there as I saw a lot of youth with great potential, with great energy, ready to move on to their next chapter. So was. So anyway, it was good. So that's my one report that I will share this evening.
All right. Seeing Mr. Ding, did you have anything?
Yes. That is the May 16. I was attending Zero Waste Sonoma and the meeting. That was a very light meeting. We just approved the budget adjustment for that purchasing project and the contain and the purchase and the property in the Windsor, and then we made some adjustment for necessary, and anyway, that is putting a little bit more money on that. That resolution was approved unanimously. That is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lowe?
I too attended the Memorial Day. I thought the speaker was excellent, and I got him to sign my book, so I'm very excited about that. And we can learn a lot from Captain Crozier. I think everyone should learn about his story, where he defended the men and women on his ship who were being ill from COVID, and fought the internal machinations of the Army in order to defend the health of his troops. And he lost his captain's ship, whatever it's called, as a result. And sometimes you have to stand up, and even when it's not good. But anyway, I learned a lot from him, and I got his book, and it was a great event. And also the Pride event was fantastic.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other reports, the only thing I have is a number of us attended the Gay Pride flag ceremony, and it was also the opening pitch for the Stompers, and because of that conflict, I delegated to our all-call day to throw the first pitch, and I understand he lived to talk about it. And let's see, I think that was about it. A number of ribbon cuttings. I think Mr. Bodenheimer's here and has lots of ribbon cuttings. So anyway, moving on. Item number 4, city manager comments. and announcements.
Great, thank you, Mayor. First off, I just want to introduce our new finance director. We're excited that she's on board, Prapti Ariel, who's here. Introduce her. Very excited to have her here. She has been walking with us through the budget process over the past few weeks, and she will be leading the process as we move forward next year. In addition, I just want to give a heads up that the Senate appropriations are going on right now, and there's a key section of the Donald Gap project where between the Springs and the city, where there's Mike Thompson has taken the lead to try to work with the county, and we've supported them and encouraged them on the State Route 12 is to fix the bike lanes and walking ability in that section. So hopefully as that works its way through the process, I'll keep council up to date on where that is, but we're hopeful that that project can move forward. Also, just a quick update on our on the plaza. We do had an issue with our fountain. The fountain has stopped working. You may have noticed the buildup of algae and causing some potential issues with that pond. That pump should be replaced and repaired over the next couple of weeks. We are working with the mosquito vector control to make sure that we control that water to make sure it doesn't become a problem for us. Fortunately, the crews did clean out the duck pond earlier and that pond and removed a lot of the duck poop and turtle poop, so that doesn't cause the stinky smell for the area. So we are trying to manage that water the best we can, and if you have any issues, please let me know. We'll get that information to you. And with that, I don't have any more comments.
My favorite time of the evening is the city attorney comments.
This evening, I have no comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see here. So we've done presentations, consent calendar. Oh my gosh, consent calendar. These are items considered to be routine and will be acted upon in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the council or staff request specific items to be removed for separate action. Is there a motion for
7.2? I just want to say a thank you.
Close the door. Could you close the door, please? Thank you.
7.2, not necessary in the put out. I just say thank you so much. Make the changes and the words and based on the last city council meeting. It is very fast, very efficient. Thank you so much.
All right. Kudos to the staff. I'm sorry. Oh. Yeah, we've got a meeting going on here. We heard you earlier. Thank you very much. Anyway, Mr. Bodenheimer, did you want to comment on the consent calendar item? Okay, please. Or do we have to pull it off? No, okay, go ahead.
Consent is allowed on the consent.
Can I just issue a thank you without pulling the item specifically? Great.
Mark, if you're good, we can...
Sure. I'll just go ahead. Maybe I will.
All right.
You should give him a warning before we hear the
I need to give you a warning. You are disturbing the council meeting. Please either be quiet or leave the building.
Take a recess.
This is
take a recess.
Recess. Okay. All right. Recess. Or to the dais. We're back from recess. What? Oh. Okay, dang it.
I have to tell you, they're
Mr. Mayor, if you don't want to, other than journalists, obviously, you have to be here. If there's nobody else that you want to go back.
Yeah. Chief, Mr. Bodenheimer was going to speak on one of these items, if he's still out there. Yeah. Oh, they're pounding on the glass now? Good grief. Okay. Well, we need Mr. Bodenheimer for the public comment on the consent item.
I took those outside. They were just sitting there on the floor on the other side. I just put them there.
David? Oh.
It's left at the football, you know.
How are you tonight?
It's gonna be a long night.
Did Bodenheimer leave? Does anybody know? Did Bodenheimer leave? Okay. All right. Sorry, what? Is there any media journalists out here?
All right, I'd like to suggest, if this is appropriate, that we forego the consent calendar, and we'll come back to it. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you want us to hold, pause? All right. So now we're good to go, and we're back in session. So consent calendar, I guess Mr. Bodenheimer left. So is there a motion, any public comment on the consent
I have
calendar?
actually one comment on the consent, if I
Okay.
could. I have a question. I do not want to pull it, but I want to give staff an opportunity to answer a question on 7.3.
All right, ask away.
I would just ask that this be a brief question and answer with no discussion from the council if we're not pulling it.
Okay,
That's easy.
all right.
The question is very simple. I know that it's complete. We have a beautiful bridge. I know that there was an overrun in cost. I would just like to get an update as far as, how that overage was handled, whether it fit within the originally allocated funds. I just want the public to be aware of how we have dealt with that.
Okay, I'll take a quick answer to this, is that in the budget for this project, the council allocated sufficient funds for the project and any overages. What didn't happen was a contingency added to each contract, usually a 5 or 10% contingency that was used. So the overages falls within that contingency that was approved by the council through the budget process. We're now asking for the ability to go back and add that contingency back into those contracts that was left off in the beginning. So it's fixing an error that shouldn't have occurred that way, but the total amount of the project is actually slightly under what we budgeted for the total project back when we started.
Thank you for that clarity.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wellander?
Yes.
Councilmember Dean?
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas?
Aye.
Mayor Gurney?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, we're at item 8.1, public hearing, an ordinance to amend Sonoma Municipal Code, section 19.48.050, adjustments to parking requirements, and a bunch of other stuff, development standards for parking, landscaping for parking facilities, and I think I can just turn it over to Ms. Gates to enlighten us.
Yes. All right. Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Jennifer Gates, Community Development Director. Before you tonight is an ordinance to amend Sonoma Municipal Code 1948-050, which is in regards to our parking requirements. 070, which is in regards to development standards for parking facilities, and 090, which is landscaping for parking facilities, and to find the proposed amendments exempt from CEQA. The Planning Commission identified the need to codify parking standards, simplify our parking standards to have one standard for all uses, and to bring the parking standards into alignment with the California Building Code and other neighboring jurisdictions. This is intended to reduce our impervious surfaces with our parking lots, also reduce greenhouse gas emissions associated with paving, and to allow for more landscaping. The Planning Commission had established an ad hoc committee that did the research of our neighboring communities, as well as to look at our existing standards and recommendations that had previously been received from our consultant W-Trans when they were working on our parking management plan. So the attached ordinance would establish one parking standard for all the uses, codify our parking space dimensions, which are currently in a policy document that actually wasn't adopted by the City Council, I realized, but it's a policy document that we utilize, and that is attached to the old parking standards are attached. So if those get modified through an introduction tonight, we would then modify those standards for the public to use. And then also to add shading requirements, which is also part of our climate action goals. So with that, staff is available to answer any questions that you may have. And that's it.
Okay.
That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for, yes?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So this is in regards to any new parking that is developed? Does this, or let's say if there was parking facility where they're making some renewals to it, then they would have to go to these new standards? Or?
Correct. We would look at doing any kind of restriping. They would follow the new standards. And then in the landscaping section, we specifically identified that you would have to be redoing 50% or more of your parking lot.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, if a shopping center wants to restripe as is, that would trigger restriping?
No, so these are
under-
actually more generous. So our old ones were a lot larger. So now we've reduced the overall size and we've modified it. So residential was different than commercial, which was different than industrial. So now we just have one standard that can be utilized. And then we also still have the availability of compact spaces.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Wellander.
Yeah, three questions. One is regarding the shading. I believe it's going to be important to tie the expectations on shading to making sure that we cross-reference, as I shared with you the other day, proper tree planting, because there's no way in God's green earth we're going to get 50% shade coverage in 15 years unless we make a marked difference in how we plant trees in the city. So I don't know what it's going to take, but I think we need to reference back to that. Otherwise, we have an expectation that we'll never meet. The other couple of items, real quick, can you just explain the in lieu fee again? It says we have an established an in lieu parking fee. Is that a case where a project does not have the physical space to meet the parking requirements, and so they're going to contribute to our housing trust fund?
So it's not to the Housing Trust Fund, and we actually have not established what that in lieu fee is yet.
Okay.
It's in the existing code that that's an option, but we have not actually established what that fee is.
Okay, thank you. Then two more quick questions, and again, this is a follow-up. Regarding the duplex requirements, I would like to at least have some discussion, consideration to having a parking requirement for one off-street parking for each of the duplexes rather than 1.5. I'm not sure who's going to fight over that extra one, but I also do believe that if we're trying to cut back on paving, this is not the way to do it, and that there's already existing parking typically on a street, and you can just see examples all over the city that we have street parking, people park it, even if there's parking spaces on the complex. So that'd be my one comment. My last one had to do with striping of the stalls and giving much more power to the community development director for discretion. That's it. Thank you.
Excuse me, Councilmember, can you go back to the second one that you, just so that I understand that better? You're basically saying that you would like to reduce the amount of parking that would be required because the street parking would be sufficient enough?
Well, I'm just thinking that, okay, we're trying to encourage housing. We're trying to encourage duplex. And it seems, we don't know what the makeup of the occupants are going to be, whether it's family, a couple, or whoever. But having one off-site street parking space seems logical. But the way it's written now, it's we want 1.5 spaces. Well, that means there's going to be a total of 3, and that's fine. But why? So that's where I'm saying if there's a need for a third one, we probably have established parking right in front. That's less paving, goes in the spirit of the climate goals, and again, I want to encourage the potential of duplexes, not discourage them.
So just to clarify also for the benefit of the other council members, so tonight we're talking more about striping and size, the actual number of spaces identified for such as a duplex use. If direction is provided by council tonight that they want us to revisit that, we can. That is not part of the ordinance being presented to you, is in regards to uses. Your packet had everything parking.
I appreciate Mr. Wellander's comment regarding the growth of trees, but sort of what you were talking about as far as how many spaces, that has come up from time to time, and especially on. I remember a particular instance where I believe it was a dentist who wanted to open on Broadway somewhere, and they couldn't do it because but for that business they didn't have enough parking spaces, and yet, it's a walkable, busable place, and so I know that's not part of this, but I think especially in light of our climate goals, et cetera, I do think that we should look at, why wouldn't we want to have someone come in as a business, and if they feel like they could survive without parking spaces, who are we to tell them they need to have parking spaces? I mean, I imagine for accessibility, that's important. Someone who is challenged in that way, of course, we need to have something, but I mean, if someone wants to open a business and not have parking places, it seems to me like that shouldn't be a problem. That should be their problem, not our problem. But anyway.
Mr. Dean.
And parking enforcement, my office on the Broadway 755, I saw that many of the cars in the 800 or 900 block over there. Some of the cars are sitting over there from the morning to the night. That area should be in the 3 hours. I'm wondering if we can improve the enforcement over that area.
All right, any other questions on the proposed amendments? Is there a public comment?
I would just support the direction also from Ron in regards to the, looking at the 1 parking space versus 1.5 for the duplexes.
All right, thank you. And public comment?
Thank you, Mayor Gurney, members of the council. It's a pleasure to be able to address you peacefully at this time. Hallelujah. We're simplifying and streamlining our parking requirements. That's wonderful progress here in the city. And congratulations to Jennifer Gates for getting us there. I had a couple of questions, and I haven't thoroughly, like my level of detail, reviewed this package, but I have confidence that it's moving in the right direction. During the Joint Commission meeting on trees we had a few months back, I raised the issue of shading and trees versus solar photovoltaic. And I don't think I saw that in here. I think that it's exclusively trees. And it occurs to me, if I was a owner of a large parking lot and I was thinking about the long-term, viability of my business and making sure that my property is most conducive to the customers I want to serve, that solar photovoltaic might be important. Also, electric vehicle charging. We reach toward our climate goals of having a much higher penetration of electric vehicles and the need for charging stations in the middle of the day when peak rates are going to be cheaper. So I think that might be an area to concentrate on, and I haven't been able to provide any specific comments on that. I do actually support Councilmember Wellander's, I strongly support the reduction in parking requirements for some of our in-town developments. The state law has changed, making it easier for cities to do that, and I'm glad there's a proposal to take advantage of that in this document tonight for the housing benefits, for the climate benefits. So let's see, is there anything else on my list? No, I think that's it. So maybe an answer to the question about the solar and whether you all think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. It's nice to have a chance to come and talk to you about something you do have a lot of authority over. In reviewing this item, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the actions, the things that are in this document that reflect the work towards achieving the city's climate action goals, such as reducing the amount of pavement and more permeable surfaces and the more tree cover. However, I was a little bit surprised to read in the document, in the Planning Commission's parking ad hoc recommendations, at the very end, it says, address bicycle circulation and safety, electric scooter / bike share recommendation, not a parking standard issue. And I wanted to take exception with that, with the entire thrust of this document, which is this ordinance makes the assumption that driving and parking are the default method of people in Sonoma to get to places to how they're going to arrive at their destinations. And I think all of this should address bicycle parking. You know, as I said earlier, it took 5 years on the commission to get bike parking on the plaza. And one of the biggest recommendations we made that was shot down at the time was that a certain number of the parking, at least one parking space on the plaza, be designated as a bicycle parking space. Why does this nowhere address bicycle parking? What about, we really want to encourage, there's so many visitors to Sonoma, and I've really seen improvements, and that's what's great about the bike racks. I've really seen improvements in the number of visitors who are riding bikes. I think we really need to try and do whatever we can to encourage Sonoma to be a park once destination, where people come, they park at their hotel or at their lodgings or wherever, and then they bike or walk to the various restaurants, tasting rooms, things that they come to Sonoma for. And this document completely overlooks that issue. And so don't know if it can all, go back and be written or something, but I think something in here needs to be added to include and encourage bicycle parking, because to meet our greenhouse gas goals, we need to do everything we can to discourage driving. And as we know from when I spoke to the council before about the high cost of the high cost of free parking, the more parking you have, the more it encourages people to drive. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Ms. Gates?
All right, just for some clarification. In the document that had the parking standards on the back is the old code. So with those parking standards back in the day, they had the old code. We've updated the code, and it never got updated on that document. So I should have just taken it off so you didn't get confused. But that's what happened. So I apologize for that. We do have bicycle parking requirements for new development that has to be part of that. This document is really just focused on the size of that parking required for our cars, and we've now established sizes for specifically compact, increased width areas, and then motorcycle, which we didn't have before, so to kind of increase that variety. And I think that answered all those questions.
There was a question about solar.
Oh, solar. Solar was not discussed previously by the Planning Commission and is not included in this document. So it has not been researched.
Okay.
Excuse me, there was, through the mayor.
Yes.
There was, I thought, a section there that talked about covered parking. And so if one desired to have solar, that could be accommodated certainly on the covered parking space, could it not? I mean,
It could be as part of a covered parking. We would need to look at height and things like that when we start looking at the solar type of canopies.
And the other thing that I would be interested in is we're evolving into more electric cars. We're evolving into more of the need for charging stations. And it's speculative right now on how many we need. Would it all be practical, and it may not be, to request a certain number of rough-in, I'll call it rough-in plumbing, that's not quite the right term, but rough-in installation that would allow for the ease of additional charging stations without cutting asphalt, cutting sidewalk, and putting it in. So I want my cake and eat it too. I don't want the developer necessarily to have to spend a lot of extra money, but right now we have a certain requirement for so many charging stations. And again, if many are successful in converting us, I'm speculating that they're not going to be enough. But it'd be nice if there's a way that we could anticipate without causing undue financial hardship. But I just throw it out there.
So right now what we added to the code was that they need to be in compliance with the building code. So as you noted, the building code already has a requirement that the infrastructure has to be there. They don't actually have to put the stations in yet, but this is the same progress that we made on solar on single family homes as well. You had to start with the infrastructure, then now you had to do solar, now you have to do battery packs. So we're kind of progressing, and we'll probably progress in that way with EV charging as well. So right now we're just saying you have to be in compliance. For us to go farther, we actually have to do studies around that and the cost.
All right.
Just a comment, I would like to see some work done in regards to the solar, just because it can both facilitate shaded parking, but also facilitate solar as well. Thank you.
And the cautionary note on that is if you also plant trees, you could defeat your solar. That's all. All right. No other questions for staff?
I have one more small question. And if the state code required, for example, they have the parking requirement and the bonus deduction, by, for apartments. But if it is not a compliance with our cities, does the city code conform with the state, or what kind of relationship, they have?
I'd have to look again at the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that we were consistent with the density bonus law and their parking reduction allowances with our code itself. So we do allow flexibility in the code and allow parking studies to be submitted for mix of uses and things like that. So we have increased flexibility in the code. But I'd have to look specifically.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No other questions? Is there a motion to be had?
I move to introduce the ordinance parking in 8.1.
I want a second.
Roll call.
Quick question, would it be inappropriate or impossible to include what wasn't included in the second reading, or is that illegal? In other words, you said we didn't mistakenly didn't include the specifics of the parking requirements. You said something.
So what I was saying is when you were talking about the duplex, the reduction in the number of spaces is not part of this ordinance. And so that would be something that we could bring back at a future time, provided that City Council provides us direction to do so.
And I was just thinking, maybe I misunderstood you, but I thought there was, you were apologizing because there was some old stuff in there and that you didn't bring.
So I gave you the old documents as example of what currently exists today. That's what I meant.
So it's just an attachment in the agenda packet. The ordinance does not contain old code language.
Okay, I believe we have a motion and a second on the table. Roll call.
Councilmember Wellander?
Yes.
Councilmember Dean?
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe? Aye. Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas?
Aye.
Mayor Gurney?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, flying along. Don't sit down, Jennifer. Item 9.1, presentation on the City of Sonoma General Plan and Housing Element 2023 Annual Progress Report.
Mayor, if I may, it
Yes.
is after 9 o'clock. Therefore, if the council wishes to proceed with a new item, it does require approval by a majority.
A new item that's on the agenda?
Correct, because it's after 9 o'clock.
What is the pleasure of the council? We're here.
I think that we should move forward on this. I'm willing to go past my bedtime slightly. That's a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Wellander?
Yes.
Councilmember Dean?
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe? Aye. Vice Mayor Farrar-Rivas?
Aye.
Mayor Gurney?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right. What I said earlier, take it away.
Thank you. Community Development Jennifer Gates. And before you is a presentation on the general plan annual progress report, which does include the housing element. So this came to you all back in March, and it was on consent, and there was a request to just have a presentation in regards to the information that was presented. And so that's what I'm here to do and try to answer any questions that you may have. So just to reiterate, the annual progress report is literally an annual progress report. It is due on the April 1st of every year, and it has to be submitted to the State Department of Housing and Community Development, as well as the Office of Planning and Research. So Office of Planning and Research provides the guidance on the overall general plan report, and then Housing and Community Development tells us what we need to present on the housing element. And it's that long, I don't know if you remember your attachment, but it had a huge spreadsheet, and it's huge. So I wanted to make sure that we covered this. It is by calendar year. It is not a fiscal year, so we look at it so for last year, it was 2023. is the one that we looked at. And its idea is just to give, for OPR's purposes, they look at it to see what local planning activities, what are you working on, what are the years of your individual elements, and anything that you have activity-wise. And it's also an opportunity to look at progress on what you're doing to implement that the general plan overall. And it also fulfills our statutory requirements to report housing information. So there is a requirement in state law that we do have to do this every year on the housing element. So in the general plan APR, again, it's an overview for the whole calendar year. And just to give everybody what we put in there was more about the fact that we're getting ready to do a whole new update to our general plan. And that we had already selected an entity to do that, and that we had that kickoff meeting and established a task force to really look at our general plan and start those community engagement activities. So we did report on those activities. And we also just talked about what we have done to date in the general plan and highlighted our zoning code amendments that we've done. And so I'm going to focus more on the housing element and the overall kind of highlights from last year. So specifically, I know there's been some questions about RHNA, our regional housing needs. And so up on the top is our 5th cycle housing element, which did end in 2023. And then our 6th cycle housing element, which started in 2023. And so as you can see in the 5th cycle, while we did meet all the total, our RHNA allocation, we did exceed the overall total, so by about 60. We don't get that credit, I will tell you that. It doesn't credit into the next cycle, unfortunately. But there is overlap in 2023. So when you look at the 6th cycle housing element, you'll see our new RHNA allocation of 311 units and how it's divided between the different levels. And then you'll see the next level. So this table was in our housing element. And so it identified the number of units that are permitted and then plus our projection period. So this is kind of what was identified, that while we're in the middle of this housing element at the ends of 2022 and beginning of 2023, we had these units already moving forward. So we get credit for them when we were starting to analyze how many units we need to actually identify sites for. So that's what we do. We look at what do we have to do? What do we already have coming down the pipeline? Because they don't count until you actually get a building permit. And so those were what we were looking at. And then the total remaining RHNA at that time was what we needed to meet with all the housing element sites. The other aspect of a housing element that's really important is that when you do it, you do need to identify sites for at least the double of the amount that you actually need. Because in a lot of times, we won't actually develop at that same level that we had projected to build at. And so you kind of have to build this surplus in there. So we also looked at the total number of units that are in process. And by in process, I mean either they were getting ready to be issued a building permit, had been issued a building permit, they're in-house right now looking for entitlements, or they received their entitlements. So these are those projects that total up 120 units. So going back, so we have, you can see 7 units in the extremely low, and then we have 6 in the low, 9 in moderate, and then the majority are going to be in the above moderate for a total of 120. So that's how that breaks down. I didn't identify which project is providing which, but you get the general idea of the percentage of the units that are going to be affordable. So that's how that breakdown is. So some of these are under construction. We have issued permits for them. Sonoma Hotel has entitlements, and then the rest of them are in process right now for entitlements. So in addition, we've done some zoning code changes also to promote housing development and as well as to implement our general plan. And so we further refined the residential component. We've done an accessory dwelling unit amendment. We will be doing another one this year. We did the parking code update, which is more in regards to the number of spaces per use. So we'll revisit that. Right now, we just introduced the actual standards for parking spaces. Previously, we had also looked at access roads and private roads and driveway standards, and then design review streamlining, which will also be coming back this year. Another key item that was identified in the housing element was our housing in lieu fee adoption. So we did do an updated analysis in 2018 with that commercial fee study that was commissioned by the city, and we did vote and implement that. So that also had identified housing in lieu fees for our inclusionary housing that's applied to fractional units and then small residential projects. Also in our housing element, it talks about homeless services that are provided. And so we talked about how we've completed our homeless strategic plan and then how we're allocating funding for different homeless initiatives. And then looking to 2024, which is this year right now, how we're undergoing our general plan. We held the Joint Tree Committee, so we'll be seeing some more tree activities. We adopted our climate action priorities, and then we're continuing to process housing developments. And that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff?
Just one quick question, if I could. There has been some criticism that said we performed poorly in building houses from about 2000 on. It was in a recent kind of correspondence from a very active participant that basically said we did poorly prior to the 5th cycle. Is there any way to extrapolate that out to either confirm that yes, we did poorly, or that I can gleefully take the correct data to this gentleman and say, no, we didn't do as bad as you suggested?
We can pull dates of building construction for all the parcels in the city.
As long as the task is reasonable. If it's not, if it's excessive.
It's all
then no.
assessor data. It's on GIS.
Thank you.
Ms. Farrar-Rivas?
Quick question. And it may be because my brain is kind of crazy now at this point in the evening after this long meeting. I do not get this plus projection period. Like what that, can you explain it to me a little bit differently so maybe my brain can grasp it?
So we get credit for activity that happened, and I can't remember the exact date for this region because I wasn't involved in this specific housing element. But there's a specific period of time during the overlap of the 5th and 6th cycles that you can get credit for activities of housing units.
Oh.
And so that's what those are. So we had 7 units during this time frame.
Got it.
So
it's like what, even though we can't carry forward, some of this happened in the overlap in the 2015-2023 that we can use to count. Got it.
that we use
Just
to
to make
count
things
to determine
complicated.
how much that we need to actually identify for.
Got it.
Okay. Any other questions?
And just to clarify also, if you look at the housing element and you're going to look at Appendix B, it'll actually specifically tell you which projects count towards each one of those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Ding, did I hear you have a
Yeah.
very quick question?
Yeah, very quick question. Just curiosity, that is a RENA number. That is the required or suggest or recommend. If you meet, if you over, get an access, if any bonus, or if you cannot meet this kind of requirement, if any penalties.
The simple answer is yes. The more difficult answer is that it's nuanced. So every year when we turn this into HCD, they're going to look at it and they're going to look to see if we're making progress. And it's not just our arena, it's also all the things that we've identified in our housing element. So that's one whole sheet, is all of the goals that we had identified and all the implementation measures. And we have to comment how we've implemented them, or what if they're in progress and things like that. So they watch you, and they'll watch us, and they'll look to see how we're doing. And I think it's aspirational, and I think it's a great goal, and we have to make goals to reach it. I don't know what happens other than that, other than you keep trying.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open up to public comment. And there we have one, maybe two.
I'll keep it brief. I was unable to attend your 5 o'clock meeting tonight, and I had assured my chair of our Climate Commission that I would be able to be there, and I just got the time screwed up. I thought it was going to be at 6. So I'll be watching that on video, and I will submit any substantive comments that I might have as soon as possible. On this matter, good luck with the arena. I think we should be fine. We've got in lieu, and we're moving in the right direction. And our arena is relatively low compared to the surrounding counties, so we should be happy about that. Don't want to interrupt anyone's bedtime, so.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. So this was to receive.
Information only.
Information only. We receive. All right, with that, I think we will adjourn this evening's meeting. Thank you, everyone, for all that you do. And Chief, please thank your officers for their support.